This is the Dynasty Roundtable podcast. And tonight, we are 2 weeks into the season. So I thought, what better time than to explore some trades? It's always a good time to explore trade possibilities, analyze the market, some overreactions. We have 2 weeks worth of data now. You know, it's not quite 3 or 4 weeks, maybe like we'd like to have, but now's the time. You don't want to waste a single moment trying to exploit the market. So, Matt Babich, how are you doing this evening? How are you feeling about your Patriots? Tell me what's going on.
I'm doing great. We're 1-1. We're on the board. You know, you gotta temper expectations with this team, right? The roster truly isn't there. There's not a whole lot of weapons in that receiving core, you know, elite weapons. There's still patches in the O-line to fill. We have Christian Gonzalez out. The rest of our secondary needs a lot of overhauling. But the big thing is, you asked about Drake May on our last show, and I told you I wasn't worried. And he went out and showed against Miami exactly why I wasn't worried. His ball placement is, I'm not going to say incredible, because that's, you know, a little bit of a reach. But for his level, being only a certain, you know, like, what is it? Maybe 8 starts in the NFL. I don't even think it's been that many. When you consider that, great ball placement, I think he's easily right now the second best quarterback talent-wise out of that draft class. And I know a lot of people are going to say Bo Nix, but I think Drake May and that Denver Broncos team you see a whole different version of that, a whole step forward of that Broncos offense. If Drake May's in there, I just think there is a big talent difference. But hey, I'm super excited. Not because we're going to win a ton of games this year, but because I truly believe, I think that was the game that solidified it for me, that this is our franchise quarterback. We just, the front office needs to do right by him and start getting this roster together now before I just pray we don't waste it, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you based on what I've seen. It's such a good feeling. And, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs were the Chicago Bears of the AFC for many, many years. And I envy teams like the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think the Patriots now that, you know, for the next however many years, 8, 10 years, you have your franchise quarterback. And if you have your franchise quarterback, you know, I think the ultimate test of how you feel about your team is, how do you feel when your team has the ball and you're down 7 and you need a drive at the end of a game to tie the game? And I think Chiefs fans feel pretty good. Maybe not like in recent memory, because the Chiefs have no weapons right now, but it's been a good stretch for them. And I think we could be seeing some similar things from the Patriots. I'm not even going to talk about the Bears this evening because I don't want to bring the mood down. But
everyone's saying Kaleb Williams made a stride from week 1 to week 2. So
okay. All right. Let's talk about, I don't know if this is a PSA to start off, but we're going to do a little dynasty buy, sell, hold. We're going to check on the marketplace, where these players that we're going to talk about are in keep, trade, cut, whether we think that we're buying or selling or holding. So I want to do a PSA right at the beginning. And this was a late addition, if you can believe it, to our show sheet. I threw it in there, and it's TreVeyon Henderson. He's currently ranked 39th overall. He's the RB9 according to Keep Trade Cut. He's down 6 spots. And I just want to do a PSA. I mean, this could be about any of the rookie running backs, RJ Harvey, you know, Quinshon Judkins, who we're going to talk about later. I think we all just need to relax. You know, I hate to quote Aaron Rodgers, but RELAX. If you look, I was looking at Jahmyr Gibbs' stats today, and it took Jahmyr Gibbs until week 7, because you remember my bold prediction that year was that David Montgomery would outscore him, and it was off to a good start in the first few weeks of the season. But then David Montgomery got hurt. Jahmyr Gibbs got more touches, and it led to him just absolutely smashing fantasy football. So I think we need to be patient with these running backs. I know he's not getting the opportunities right now. Speaking about TreVeyon Henderson and RJ Harvey too, those are the two that, you know, I'm talking about right now. but you got to give it time. Sean Payton is an old crotchety coach. It's going to take some time to gain his trust. I kind of knew this coming in. I think we've been saying it like it's going to take some time, guys. It's not going to happen right away with these running backs because it rarely does with a rookie running back. And I'll even go so as far as to include Ashton Jeanty in this, even though he is getting the opportunity and not doing much with it. If anybody's panicking about Ashton Jeanty, I am buying Ashton Jeanty. I'm buying TreVeyon Henderson. I'm buying RJ Harvey. If anybody's willing to give me a discount, I will take it. What do you think?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of relaxing that needs to be done. And I'll even speak to some rookies in particular here. Jeanty, we have now, whether or not Jeanty should have been the pick here, given the structure of the Raiders team, is a different conversation. But
yes,
they have a poor O-line, and they have a rookie who clearly has a lot of work to do in terms of figuring out pass protection. He went the wrong direction. That caused a loss of yardage where Geno couldn't hand the ball off because Jeanty went the other way. So there is a learning curve here that Jeanty needs to climb. And now people are freaking out because Dylan Labe is getting involved and Zamir White's getting involved. And it's like, come on, we've done this song and dance before with Labe, with Zamir White. It's neither of them are guys. So sure, it's concerning, but relax. Hampton, we got the entire NFL, 31 teams, prepared for the Los Angeles Chargers to be Greg Roman, run the ball, just like we all did going into this season. Granted, some people did take the extrapolated end of season pass rate and talked about that they might be more pass heavy, but adjustments happen. As an aside to like Ladd McConkey, like defenses weren't preparing for Keenan Allen to be a part of that Chargers game plan. What's going to happen, Seth? Defenses will adjust. They will adjust. Yep. Hampton's time will come. Henderson's time will come, I think. He's been awful in pass protection. He's been very bad in pass protection, like lost 2 holding penalties. One was declined because it ended up being a sack on Drake May. It's bad. Stevenson looks good. I mean, again, it was against the Dolphins. He didn't look great in week 1 at all, but Raiders have a pretty good run defense. So you just got to give it time. You look at the schedule even this year for Henderson, you see a lot of green. Harvey, it's that one I don't really know as much. You got to think he's going to get touches, but like, why are we giving work to Tyler Bidet out here? If Harvey went and it's pass protection again, like it's being able to trust these guys in this situation. So look, this comes slowly for other people. Kaleb Johnson, you got to think will work in at some point. So there's concern to be had, but I guess I was going to plan to throw this in at some point, but Dwayne McFarland throws this around all the time for Fantasy Life. In terms of accuracy of predicting from here on out, rest of season fantasy points per game, our priors or ADP is more predictive up until about week 4 or 5. So not until we get about 4 or 5 weeks of actual data to observe can we start using that to make better predictions than what we used before we went into the season. So that's, we just got to be patient for a few more weeks. And if things get really bad for some of these running backs, then maybe we could start talking. But even then, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, that was the famous one, right?
Yep.
Everyone thought he was potentially a bust. He didn't look good. And then week 8 or 9 rolls around and it's like, oh, whoa, there he is. And then what happened after that? 20 touch games, just absolutely dominating the backfield. And he never looked back. So we got to give this time.
Yes, I will be, again, to reiterate, I will be buying low if anybody's willing to sell at, 75 cents, 80 cents on the dollar. Now that we got that out of the way, I felt like we had to clear the air there because, I don't know, some people might be panicking. Some people really might be panicking about A.J. Brown, currently wide receiver 19, 55 overall, according to Keep Trade Cut. he's down 18 spots. And A.J. Brown, I was concerned coming into the year. I felt as though this offense doesn't really pass the ball much at all. They were last in the NFL last year in passing the ball. But at this price, if I'm a contender, I'll just tell you how I feel. I'm very ambivalent when it comes to A.J. Brown. Was coming into the season, as I said. So I'm fine waiting this out. I'm fine, if I get an offer and I'm a contender and it's a good offer, I think it's fair, I'll consider it. But it's not like I'm rushing out to acquire A.J. Brown, because I do think that this offense and this team is going to be run heavy, and the Eagles are a good team, so they're going to be playing from ahead a lot. And depending on the severity of the Jaden Daniels thing, I mean, I hope he only misses a week or two, maybe. It doesn't sound like it's too serious, but if he misses, an extended amount of time, if that just so happens to coincide with them playing the Commanders, I don't think so, but it's a knee issue, so you just never know. The Eagles could start to run away with this division, and I just don't like the game scripts, and I don't know. I'm just I would be holding if I had A.J. Brown, but it's not like I'm rushing out to buy him either. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm in that same boat, and mostly because I think a lot about perceived value, and league to league, this is very different. So it's about knowing your league in part, but I ask myself after 2 games of this Philadelphia Eagles offense, is anyone in my league really that down on A.J. Brown? Does anyone really think that he's over the hill, that he doesn't have this ceiling in him? No one does that. So maybe there's a dip in price, right? Because if someone's going to sell A.J. Brown, they're more than likely going to be either a contender that's scared, so you might get a little bit of a discount there, or a rebuilding team who really needs to get out from under a 28-year-old receiver who's not performing very well. So I think there's time here. I lean by, but like you said, for all the reasons with this Eagles offense, teams are really figuring out how to slow down this Eagles passing offense. I don't think it's just the fact that they're good. I think it's that they're okay with being dragged into the mud. There's not a lot of creativity on offense. Defenses are doing a good job of keeping it contained. They can't stop the run game for the life of them. The run game, and they're opening up with this gimmicky, like designed quick hitters on the outside of the field, but it's working. And as long as it works, and as long as the Eagles, it feels like they got to get beaten like 3 times in a row, like before anything changes. And that's been really the key since Sirianni took over. Like, it really has to not work before he tries something different. And with the Eagles defense, I don't know how many games they're going to be losing. So I'm not panicking necessarily. I do lean by at this price, but I do kind of want to see at least a little bit of a turnaround, because if he goes out next week and has 115 and a touchdown, his value doesn't change that much long term. Like, it's not like he's like a Emeka Egbuka, like going off in his first game and it's like price of the brick went up. You have what you have. It's like Derrick Henry going out and running for 23 yards. Like, no one's panic selling on Derrick Henry now. We know who he is.
Yep. And on the flip side, I feel if he has another game, maybe another 2 games where, man, this is subpar. Let's say he faces another down defense and doesn't do anything. I could see his value falling even further, like pretty significant. Like, I could see the panic start to, like, the panic is going to outweigh the, okay, he went for 115 and nine catches, because that's what A.J. Brown's supposed to do, right? So I agree. Like, with his age, with the situation that he's in, I am very, very on A.J. Brown right now. So
he
I
fell
think
down
we're in
even
agreement.
further. He's wide receiver 20 right now.
Oh, wow. That must have, I wrote this down last night. So
asked him.
Yeah, so I think we're in agreement there. Let us know what you think in the comments. But we're going to be moving on now to maybe the hottest wide receiver in the National Football League. You tell me. But it's Zay Flowers, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's risen a few more spots. But when I looked it up last night, He was wide receiver 21, 61 overall, according to Keep Trade Cut. And I'll just say this about Zay Flowers. I think he's a tremendous player, but he's also in this Ravens offense that is very similar to the Eagles offense in the sense that they're not going to throw the ball a ton. Now, it hasn't mattered because when you get, I don't know, 50% of the team's yards, and like I think in week 1 he had a 50% target share, and you're just commanding all of the targets, even if there's only 20 or 22 of them, then yeah, you're going to have a good day. But I'm just not sure how sustainable this is because he is currently ahead of players. I think he leads the league in yards after the catch. I could be wrong, but 114 yards after the catch, 8.14 yards after the catch per reception, which is just insane. And first read target share, he ranks number 3 in that category according to the Fantasy Points data suite, 44.1%. Now, he's going to get a lot of first read targets, which is good, but I say all that to say I don't want to trade him, especially if I'm a contender. I'm going to keep rolling him out there. But dang, if I have him and I am, looking to capitalize on this situation, I might wait. I might hold and see if his value goes up even further. That's probably my official answer. But man, I kind of would be tempted to sell. What are your thoughts here?
I'm buying. For 2 years, we've been saying, Zay, we liked him coming out of college. He's a good athlete. He's a big playmaker, but we just need him to get a bigger share of the targets. Like, we just need to get him involved more. And through the first 2 weeks of the season, he's involved more. And now we're talking about it's not sustainable. I don't like that.
Okay. All right.
It's a fair point. I'm getting in character a little bit here, but I like to see,
go ahead, get into character.
What I like to see is that he's getting those design targets still as he normally does, but he's getting a little bit more work downfield too, and they're taking some more shots. And so, his ADOT in his rookie year was 8.4, and he had 1.3 targets per game of 20 plus air yards. Then you look to last year, deep targets were around the same, about 1.4 per game. His target depth goes up to 10.4 as an ADOT, 10.1 ADOT, so it comes back a little bit, but we're up to 2 deep targets per game now. And that's what's important here. So he's getting the design touches, the scripted touches, but he's also getting more downfield looks. And the difference between the Ravens and the Eagles is that while they are both run heavy offenses, one is much more adept at creating explosive plays through the air and the run, at least for the first 2 weeks of this season. I know going back to last season, like that's something we definitely saw from the Eagles. But for the past 3-4 years, I mean, that's been Lamar's bread and butter or I should say the Ravens' bread and butter is creating those explosive plays. It feels like we see, 7-8 explosive plays per game from the Ravens, whereas Philly's usually pretty methodical, and then they'll hit those, 1 to 2 big plays per game. Maybe when they play a Cleveland, that goes up to 4 or 5, but the Ravens will do it against anybody. And the fact that Zay Flowers is the one taking the lead here, we don't see a tight end led target share anymore. It's Zay Flowers just dominating the targets in this offense. And I think that's what we needed to see to really treat him seriously. I think he can easily finish as a top 12 receiver this year if he continues getting, let's say a 27% target share for the rest of the season, which seems doable.
Yeah, and as I'm looking at Keep Trade Cut, I mean, where Keep Trade Cut has him is, I think, ridiculous. I mean, he's ranked behind A.J. Brown, right below him at 59. I know I said 61, but he's moved up a couple spots since then. And then 2 spots below Rashee Rice and 3 spots below Christian McCaffrey. I mean, come on. If man, I know Christian McCaffrey is getting like 1 million touches a game, but if somebody offered me Zay Flowers for Christian McCaffrey straight up, I mean, I think it's a pretty easy decision, at least for me. I'll take the 25-year-old wide receiver that's in a amazing offense.
Yeah,
that's going to design targets for him. So anyway, Let's move on to another wide receiver, Ricky Pearsall, who, I mean, I think he's been okay so far, but I don't know. I get the feeling I don't have a ton of Ricky Pearsall because he just steamed too far up boards, both in like the rookie draft, I feel like, and in redraft, although we're not talking about redraft tonight. This is a dynasty show. But Pearsall is currently the wide receiver 23, 65th overall. And when you look at Keep Trade Cut, he's ranked around Sam Laporta, Quinshon Judkins, Tucker Kraft, Dak Prescott. And man, I like Ricky Pearsall. I don't know if I like him that much. So I'm probably a sell here if I could get one of those guys, because I don't know. This offense it's only going to get more crowded. Like, now's the time for Ricky Pearsall because, George Kittle's going to be back at some point, and then a lot of those targets, especially over the middle, are going to dry up once he comes back. So, and I think Juwan Jennings, I mean, it looked like he was the preferred target of Mac Jones. I know the targets were about the same, but at least especially the deeper targets. So I think I'm a sell on Ricky Pearsall. I know he's a younger receiver. I know that there's a ton of upside, but if I can get one of these options that's ranked around him, I think I would do it. But what about you?
Yeah, 23's a little bit ridiculous for me. I'm a sell at that price. Yeah. Give me George Pickens, who's younger. That was actually something that I just saw that blew my mind. George Pickens is a half a year younger than Ricky Pearsall and is going to be in just as high powered of an offense, but he's going to be locked and loaded week in and week out, that secondary target in that offense. Give me someone like that where I could potentially, they're pretty close. Actually, they're not that close. They're in different tiers, like 300 value points apart in Keep Trade Cut, wide receiver 29 for George Pickens. Like Jordan Addison, I don't love that. I think he's 27's a little bit of a weird spot for him. Man, yeah, it's kind of a wasteland out there in that area of receivers. So I tried to find more examples, but even Devonta Smith at like wide receiver 25 feels like I would rather potentially cash in and get somebody who's proven to be a little bit more reliable over the years. But yeah, I'm gonna sell Ricky Pearsall as much as I love him.
Even if you had to tear down to like Chris Olave. I mean, Chris Olave is 93rd, and I don't even really like Chris Olave that much, but he's getting just a ton of volume in the Saints passing game that is going to be playing from behind in literally every game. So, and Chris Olave, 25 years old. You want to guess how old Ricky Pearsall is? I know you know it, but he's 25 years old.
25.
So they're the same age. Same age. Crazy. Let's talk about another polarizing player, a guy that we've been pretty steadfast on throughout this whole process, and that would be Quinshon Judkins. He's currently 68th overall, RB17, according to Keep Trade Cut. And to be honest with you, I think the stench of everything that's happened to Quinshon Judkins is still kind of in the air. And if you didn't watch the game, I thought he looked really, really good in that Browns-Ravens game on limited touches. And I think he's going to be a stud in this league. I really do. It's going to take some time, just like our other rookie running back discussion. It's not going to happen overnight. But I think once week 8, 9, 10 rolls around, I mean, I don't really care if he's going to face a suspension, really, because if you built your dynasty teams the right way, hopefully you have some depth at running back and you can survive a suspension. But it kind of looks like the NFL is just going to let him, play, at least from what I'm seeing. I don't know. I haven't really kept up to date on the news. But RB17, ranked one spot behind Pearsall. I would take him over Pearsall. No doubt about it. I would probably even take him. I mean, him for A.J. Brown would be an interesting conversation. I think you could probably get more on top of Quinshon Judkins, but I think it's at least in the neighborhood. And I would side on the 21, going to be 22-year-old running back that I believe is a 3-down bell cow in this league. playing for a really good offensive coordinator right now, or offensive coordinator, head coach, and Kevin Stefanski, who's a really good play caller. But who knows? I mean, I really like Quinshon Judkins. I would be buying at this price. But what do you think, man?
I'm holding simply because this Browns team is going to continue to get worse. I think, look, we got to relax with Quinshon Judkins too, right? It goes both ways. The guy had 10 carries. I saw someone post that he led all running backs in missed tackles per attempt, minimum 10 attempts, which is exactly how many carries he had in week 2 of the season. Talk about disingenuous. We got to hold on a little bit because Dylan Sampson's not letting go of that receiving back role. So I guarantee you Quinshon Judkins does not become a true bell cow for this team this year.
I think he's going to be a 1A to Sampson's 1B, which I think is a 60-ish% snap share. And I think that's totally fine.
Yeah. And then so we start to look at, okay, if I'm going to buy, where is he going to go? Like, so I think I think he'll jump McCaffrey and Henry. I don't know if on the Cleveland Browns he can pass Breece, Kyron, Josh Jacobs, James Cook, Chase Brown. I know he's 22 and we play for the long run, but the fact of the matter is not many running backs on shitty teams win you your fantasy championship. Like bad teams. I'm not talking about like playoff contenders that are in enough close games to get you a good amount of both game scripts. But we're talking about Quinshon Judkins needing to be like a 15% target share guy with the types of game scripts that they're going to be seeing. Unless they're going to pound the rock 20 times and just accept defeat when they're down 30, which is possible. We've seen them do it before. So I'm tempering expectations just because there's not a whole lot more I think he can get up to this year. And I just don't like buying running backs on teams that are going to be bad for multiple seasons. Maybe I'm being a little too short-sighted there because they can draft another quarterback next year. They can draft another quarterback the year after until they finally figure that position out. But I'm not going to be rushing to buy him just because of 10 carries from last week. Because I think this is right around where we had always kind of had him, you know, with the news and everything. We probably had him a little higher in our consensus rankings when we went and updated those in the off season. So my opinion hasn't changed on him too much. I would sell, like if I'm a rebuilding team, obviously I would sell Henry and McCaffrey for Judkins. If I'm not a rebuilding team, obviously I would not do that. So I'm a hold right now. I'm right in the middle.
Fair enough. I will say Kevin Stefanski's teams tend to run a bunch of plays, so there's going to be hypothetically more opportunities for him. I think he's a good pass catcher, so I just throw that out there.
He's a good pass catcher too. I think it's just the harm that he's playing with Dylan Sampson, a very good complement and somebody who's already somewhat established himself in that regard.
Yeah, and man, Dylan Sampson, I think I would hold on to him just as an aside. I think Dylan Sampson's going to be really good too. Let's move to a quarterback, and I think this is going to be an interesting conversation because, you know, when Russell Wilson had that wacky first week and then he comes back and throws a couple moon balls and all of a sudden he's back in the good graces of some people. I don't know, but I still think that there's a clamoring for Jaxson Dart. And that would be evidenced in his keep trade cut ranking because he's moved up 26 spots. He's at 69 overall, QB 20. And I just want to throw this out there. I was a big fan of Jaxson Dart. I think he was my quarterback 2 in this class, right behind Cam Ward. Yeah, that's right. I will say this. He was drafted in the late first round. He is anything but a sure thing. He's anything but a sure thing. If I have him, I think I'm holding him. But if I get a good offer for him from a QB needy team, or if I could just say, all right, I'll take 3 to 4 years of Dak Prescott. If I'm more of a win now team, let's just say I took the value with Jaxson Dart, maybe in the late first round of a Superflex league, or maybe if he fell to the second round. and I could make that move. I would be very interested in doing that. So I think I'm a hold, but if I get the right offer, I would be more willing to sell than I would be to buy, just because I know he has Malik Neighbors, and I really like Wan'Dale Robinson, but this is not a team and an organization that has been successful in the past, and the coach and the GM are on the hot seat. So you potentially have a new GM coming in that did not draft this guy. So I just say the situation stinks for Jaxson Dart, and it would not be shocking at all if he's not that good. And at quarterback 20 right now, like, I think that's perfect. Like right now, Keep Trade Cut has him ranked right next to Dak Prescott. If I could just get Dak Prescott right now, I think I would do it. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, it just depends on what your outlook is. You're not.
Yeah.
That's where I hate some of these conversations sometimes from like just a buy, like pure buy, sell, hold. Because it's like, well, yeah, like no competing team is going out and buying Jaxson Dart. I would rather have Dak.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we both have a different stance on Dak than a lot of other people, because we don't consider him that old. Like we do consider Dak like a 3 to 4 year asset. So he's maybe an outlier in this conversation for me, but I'm willing to buy simply off the prospect of, I feel like that's a fine ranking. Like that's where a lot of these quarterbacks are that end up vaulting in the rankings. Like it's similar to where JJ McCarthy was, where CJ Stroud was, where Bryce Young was, and not all those quarterbacks pan out. Sometimes the ranking's going to go below, but even guys like Bryce Young, when you have that kind of draft capital and you're a quarterback, you have a pretty insulated value. You get a lot of chances. And I feel like you have that bias too of like Bryce Young sat out. He came back. I think he fooled us a little bit too and looked really good. And then all of a sudden, Bryce Young's a commodity in super flex leagues. So there's a lot of insulated value with those types of quarterbacks. So I'm willing to buy Dart. And sure, Russell Wilson looked good against a Cowboys defense that can't get any pressure and has basically no secondary. Let me read you this list of defenses that the Giants are about to play. You tell me when Russell Wilson gets benched. All right. Week 3 against Kansas City. Week 4 against the LA Chargers. Week 5 against the New Orleans Saints. Stronger defense than we expected going into this year. Week 6 against the Eagles. Week 7 against the Broncos. Week 8 against the Eagles. Week 9 against the 49ers. And then you skip the Bears, and then you got week 11 Green Bay, week 12 Detroit. That's a rough stretch.
Yep. Yeah.
He's going to get benched in after one of those games. I guarantee it.
I don't know when Andrew Thomas, the left tackle, comes back, but I think Jaxson Dart will be out there by the time he is completely healthy and 100%, because I don't think I would throw Jaxson Dart out there without a healthy offensive line, a completely, ready to go offensive line. But I'm pulling for Jaxson Dart because everybody knows that's been watching this channel, I've got a huge stake in Malik Neighbors this year. I think I have him in 3 of my redraft leagues. So I think Jaxson Dart could, elevate Malik Neighbors, although Malik Neighbors is coming off just an insane game in week 2. But we'll see. But I'm a hold. You're lean buy, I think, based on what you said. Let's move on. And I'm going to have to take the L on this because in the offseason, I was not in on Tucker Kraft because I know, like, I have blind spots just like anybody else. And I don't like players that tend to live off of 1 or 2 games. And that's exactly what Tucker Kraft did last year. Because when you look at his game log last year, he had exactly 2 weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks where, you're like, okay, I can, and insane weeks. Don't get me wrong. Week 4 and week 5, he was the tight end 1 overall. But then it was a lot of, okay, in week 8, 16.8 fantasy points. In week 9, 7 fantasy points. In week 11, 0 fantasy points on a 91% snap share. And then he ended the season very, very poorly. even though the snap share was really good. And I just didn't trust Matt LaFleur. I still don't really trust Matt LaFleur because he likes to spread the ball around. He likes to scheme up different players, different based on different matchups. It's why he's a good coach. It's just not conducive to fantasy football. I didn't know that Tucker Kraft would have this kind of volume in the passing game in the first 2 weeks. So I'm willing to take the L, but I think if I have him, I'm holding him, but I am still I still think we're tiptoeing around the Matt LaFleur time bomb here of just like wins the game that he's going to decide, oh, I think Matthew Golden's going to have all of the targets, or we're going to have everybody get 4 targets this game, and we're going to run Josh Jacobs 28 times.
That's the risk you run, but at the same time, like, we play for the ceiling. Like, there's going to be games where he gets game scripted out or other things are open, but at the same time, we have a 25-year-old who's 6'5", an athletic freak, can block, can create yards after the catch. I mean, people are calling him Kittle Jr. And what's crazy is I'm starting to see it. I get it now. I was going into this off season, but now it's like I fully kind of get it after hearing those comparisons and then seeing what he's done to start the year. I'm buying because I like him better long-term than Laporta. I just always thought, I don't know. I never fully bought into Sam Laporta's rookie season. Like, it just never sat right with me. And then as he's declined, like, I've just been like, okay, was that a fluke? Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do with Sam Laporta at this point, but he's not the point of this. Tucker Kraft is. And at this point, if you're going to give me any of those top 5, like, tight ends, so Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, I've said like way too many times on this podcast. It hasn't really been an issue of mine, but I've noticed I've said it a lot. Bowers, McBride, Warren, Kraft, even Kittle, if I'm a contender, I will always be in the market for those guys because the tight end position is so bad that having a true game maker or game changer week in and week out is going to help your roster. So I'm down to buy Tucker Kraft high.
Yeah, I have to concede defeat on this one. By the way, he's tight end 5, 77th overall, according to Keep Trade Cut. Let me just make sure that actually, no, he's at 68 overall now, tight end 5, right behind Quinshon Judkins. So he's risen up quite a bit since they must run an update like on Tuesday. I guess that makes sense. Maybe I shouldn't check Keep Trade Cut on Monday.
I think it constantly updates. Maybe not like constantly, but you could check tomorrow and it could be different.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go to potentially a sore subject. Kenneth Walker. Currently, let me check the actual thing. Man, he's gone up. That's surprising to me. 77th overall, RB 18. Overall, though, he's down 10 spots, according to Keep Trade Cut. And while he scored a touchdown this week, I just want to say that I don't think he's out of the woods yet because Zach Charbonnet continues to outsnap him back-to-back weeks where Zach Charbonnet's had more snaps in the offense, which is not at all what I thought Clint Kubiak would do because Clint Kubiak had never really done this shared backfield thing before. Now, I don't know what the long-term plan is here. I don't know if they're just ramping up Kenneth Walker to be a bell cow. This thing is very strange because last year it was Kenneth Walker who was used as a new age bell cow. And what I mean by that is, 60% of the snaps or more, approaching like a 70% opportunity share. I'm just going off the top of my head, but it was, he was in line for just incredible usage. And then he got hurt. This season, it feels like they believe Zach Charbonnet is the guy. And I just don't see that. And it's very frustrating to me. So the stubborn part of me says Kenneth Walker's the better player, but reality says you might want to be careful here. So I think I'm holding for now. I would lean to buy him if I needed a running back. But what say you?
I am going to hold but I certainly don't for a second buy Zach Charbonnet. He's bad.
No,
He's
yeah,
not good.
I wouldn't go. I wouldn't say bad. I
He's
just don't
not
think.
good.
I think Kenneth Walker's just a much more talented player. It's very similar to the Jets, where we had all this talk like, oh, watch out for Braylon Allen. Isaiah Davis is pretty good, but neither one of those guys is as good as Breece Hall. And I feel very similarly to Zach Charbonnet. I just don't. Sometimes NFL teams and coaches, I don't necessarily agree with what they do, and this is a perfect example. So
2.1 yards per carry on 27 carries this season. And then 15 yards on 10 carries against a Steelers defense that got gassed.
He's
by Kenneth Walker and the entire
Jet
the week before. He's not that good. And this is
he is adequate. He's adequate.
I feel like adequate and not that good are the exact same thing. Yeah. But
he'd be the lead running back on the Bears right now, I'll tell you that.
I mean, sure, but that's not saying much. I just don't see this split continuing. I don't know why it's happening, but based off of the performance from Kenneth Walker, it does seem like if that continues, I don't see how it could be one more game of Kenneth Walker outperforming. Granted, I mean, Kenneth Walker was bad in week 1. I do think San Francisco is absolutely blowing up their offensive line and wasn't really making a lot for they were making life very tough on both Charbonnet and Walker. But week 2's now in the books. If we get like week 3 and even week 4 and Kenneth Walker is continuing to outperform, I do think we start rolling that back because they can't keep playing 2 backs 50% and one being bad, one being good, and just living with that. They're going to eventually go hot hand and start giving whoever's performing a lot more touches, and I think that's going to be Walker.
I would certainly hope so. Let's move to another running back that has been surprisingly good, and that's Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne is currently ranked as the RB21, 85th overall, sandwiched kind of in between Keon Coleman and George Kittle and Colston Loveland and George Pickens. So I think Etienne, he's in a contract year. I think he's legit. I think he was just battling some injuries last year and dealing with kind of a weird, Doug Peterson situation. So I think that this is legit. Now, Bashul Tutin, I think, is also really good. So I could see this becoming closer to, 55-45 as the season goes along. But I think Travis Etienne's still going to have enough usage this season for me to get excited if I'm a win now team. If I'm a win now team, I think Travis Etienne's a very exciting piece that's not very expensive that I can go out and acquire. So I'm willing to buy high on him in the right situation. If you're a productive struggle or a rebuilding team, I wouldn't have much interest in Travis Etienne. That's my take on it. What do you think?
Agreed. Contender only. I'd be willing to buy in that case. I do think Tutin starts to eat a little bit more of this workload as we go along through the season.
If Tutin's the guy I want, if I'm a productive struggle, yeah.
So
he could be the guy next year.
So yeah, I honestly don't have too much to add. I'm in an exact alignment with you.
All right. Wow. That feels good. Let's talk about maybe the man. This is probably the most polarizing player in fantasy football, or at least he was leading up to draft season. And now that Austin Eckler is out for the season, which, by the way, that is not how I wanted to see that guy go out. That dude has been a stud for so long, and it's just a damn shame that happened because his career is probably over. I would assume. I mean, I wouldn't put anything. I would not bet against Austin Eckler ever, but it's going to be tough, real tough for him to come back from an Achilles injury. But Jacory Croskey-Merritt, who's up, just continues to go up. It's like buying Amazon back in the day. I feel like it's basically the same thing. Where is he at now? Is he just shot up, or is he gone down?
No, he's still at 22. He's at the exact same spot.
He is? Oh, 92. Okay, yeah. I just couldn't see things there for a second. 92 RB2 up 124 spots. just insane. And everything in my body, even though I know, Matt, he's going to be the starter, I know he's going to get some volume.
Is he?
I
We
think
don't
so.
know.
Who else do they have?
We don't know.
Is it going to be Jeremy McNichols? Is it going to be Chris Rodriguez, who was a healthy scratch?
Get touches in the first couple of weeks, and he didn't really.
That's because they had Austin Eckler. I think that this is honestly, I know Brian Robinson is a blah running back, but a blah running back can be useful on your team. And I just felt like that they traded him way too premature. I would have hung on to Brian Robinson and maybe traded him in week 5 or 6. I don't know if there was some kind of dispute going on behind the scenes. Who knows? But I really want to sell Jacory Croskey-Merritt right now. I maybe it'll come back to bite me, but I've seen these situations play out in Dynasty before, and it really feels like a classic case of sell high, buy low. But we said that last time we did one of these buy, sell, hold, and we would look pretty foolish if we sold him back then because he's climbed even further. But I certainly wouldn't be buying him at this price. I think I'm just a certified sell. So I assume you're in the same boat.
Yeah, I was when he first rose, and I'm still like that. I mean, we have, per Dynasty Data Lab, we got JCM going for firsts. 2026 first round picks.
Yeah, that's a smash sell then. Every
single time. Like you can, what's crazy is his value has gone beyond this point, but I think it honestly might have been Jerry Sinclair. He's done it about a few different players over this offseason, but sell Jacory Croskey-Merritt for a second and you'll profit 95 times out of 100. Yep. You can sell him for a second and make out positive in the average case. So certainly for a near first, and you go down the list, you know, from a both contender and rebuild perspective, you got Kamara, you have Javonte Williams, you have Trey Benson, Jordan Mason, Kaleb Johnson, Bashil Tootin, Cam Scatabo, Jalen Warren, James Conner, Dylan Sampson, Tony Pollard, J.K. Dobbins, all the way at RB 37. That's a lot of running backs that I'd still rather have over JCM. So there's just so many different possibilities for me to trade away any share of JCM that I had. So sell. This is a ridiculous evaluation. We don't know. This could be a 50-50 split between him and Jeremy McNichols for all we know.
Yeah, he's also 24 years old too, by the way. So he's an older rookie, and that's another strike against him. I think this next one, I think we have to, I don't know if we have to pour one out. I don't know if we're calling it, and if it's over, waving the white flag here on Bryce Young. He's down 30 spots all the way. I think by the end of the week, he could be out of the top 100. He is at 97th overall, quarterback 24, ranked right next to Jalen Waddle and Mike Evans. Holy cow. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm sick. I'm sick in the head because if I'm a quarterback needy team in Superflex, I'm kind of I would be seeing how cheap I could get Bryce Young. I would be seeing how far out the Bryce Young owner is on him right now, because if I could get him for, I don't know, a second, maybe a third plus, I think, if I want to flip Mike Evans for him, I mean, that I just said he's ranked right next to him and keep trade cut. Zach Charbonnet, who's ranked 2 spots behind him, I think I would trade Zach Charbonnet for Bryce Young even now, but I don't know. I see the sick part of me wants to buy, but I think if you have him, you have to hold. But I would feel sick about selling him at this price. What do you think?
Yeah, I think if I have him, I'm going to hold. Just like I said, it's just starting QB. Like, he has some insulated value, and it's, we got Daniel Jones back in the top 25. It's like, what are you going to do with him? The market for him is pretty bad. So it's hard to think that you're going to get a good return. Granted, 22-point week. If he has another spike week coming up, then that was when I'd probably look to sell. If he has a spike week and you can actually get value for him. I'm not really going to buy either. I'd rather place my bets on different quarterbacks if I'm going to go out and buy a quarterback. especially, if I'm longer term, I'd rather get like Jaxson Dart. And if I'm shorter term, I'd rather go out and get Daniel Jones. So he's in a weird spot where I don't really want him short term. I don't really necessarily want him long term. And I got to take the L because I was a big proponent on him actually making the leap. And I don't want to react too quickly yet because you go that far and then he starts having a good week 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then all of a sudden I got to take it back again. So it looks like I'm probably going to take an L on that take. Not sure yet. You don't get to play the Cardinals secondary every week. So we'll see.
Yeah, his next game against Atlanta, that's not a great matchup. And then New England. New England
will have 300-something yards and a couple touchdowns. So that might be the week you try and sell.
Yeah. New England, Miami, Dallas is actually a nice stretch of games in week 4, 5, and 6. So, yeah, maybe he has a few nice games there, and maybe we're right back to where we started. And then after that, it's New York, Buffalo, Green Bay, New Orleans, Atlanta again. So it gets a little bit tougher in the middle, but 4, 5, 6, if you're trying to get out, I think that's probably the area where you try to do it. Let's move on. We have 3 more players left. 2 out of 3 of them are rookies. And I want to talk about the player, the sensation. I think I was wrong about this one. Harold Fannin Jr. Harold Fannin Jr., tight end 8, just outside the top 100, 101 overall, according to Keep Trade Cut. The Browns, man, they seem to be using him quite a bit in this offense. And I was honestly kind of shocked because I really like David Njoku. I thought David Njoku's value this year, both in Dynasty and redraft, was really solid. And now the Bengals, the Browns are making me kind of rethink this. But I will say, Joe Flacco's not going to play the entire season, and we don't know what these rookie quarterbacks are going to look like. So the floor could fall out of him this season. David Njoku did outsnap him this week. 60 of 73 snaps for Njoku, 46 of 73 for Fannin, but they're both getting on the field and they're both running a bunch of routes and they're both getting targeted, and he looks the part. So I might have to eat it on this one. I think I'm holding them if I have them. I don't think I'm buying them at this price.
Correct.
So what do you think?
Exactly. We're gonna see a shift in this offense. The ceiling of it is gonna come down a little bit. And with that, some of these Harold Fannin floor performances are gonna turn into, disaster floor performances, like zeros. So 8's a little bit, we're getting out in front of our skis a little bit with that evaluation. So yeah, I'm holding for right now. I do think there will be a little bit of a dip where if I don't have him, I can go get him at a better price.
Yep. I think for this season, we're looking at close to the ceiling, if we're not already there. So, I mean, I guess we can make the case to sell too, but if I have them, I don't really want to sell them, to be honest, because young tight end. Let's move on to Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams, RB26, 106 overall. He's actually moved up to 103 overall, right behind Michael Pittman, according to Keep Trade Cut, up 78 spots. And he looks the part. The Cowboys are going to run the football. Brian Schottenheimer's always had a history of running the football quite a bit. And there's absolutely no competition there for him. Miles Sanders is over the hill, and Jaden Blue can't even be active on games. Now that might change in the future, but if I'm a contender, I think this is another contender only. I would be kicking the tires on Javonte Williams to see what the Javonte Williams owner wants for him. If I need some cheap RB help, but if I'm a rebuilding team, I'm for sure putting him on the trade block and seeing what I can get for him. That's kind of where I'm at. What do you think, man?
Yeah, if I'm a contending team, I'm absolutely trying to buy. I think he's going to be a bell cow for the rest of the season. But anything outside of that, I think if you're kind of in the middle and you've had a good couple of weeks and you got to say to yourself, like, maybe I have it, maybe I don't. Like, he's not the guy you're going to want to go out and acquire, but if he's on your roster, You have plenty of time to sell. I don't think this is a blip on the radar. I think you have more time to figure out what to do with your roster, and all the while be making sure to field offers to see what you can get. But I think if you're kind of in the middle and you're saying to yourself, I think I could compete. I didn't expect to compete, but I think I can. Give yourself a couple more weeks with Javonte and see what happens. And if you start losing some games, then, ship them out.
Yeah, just to give you an idea of the usage against the Giants, 64 of 89 snaps played, 30 of 57 routes run, 6 targets, 18 carries. Miles Sanders, on the other hand, 20 of 89 snaps played, 7 of 57 routes run, 2 targets, 5 carries. That's the backup running back, and it's like a 70-30 split right now. So, and it could get even higher than that. Who knows? Let's talk. I wanted to end the show with this, not to bring everybody down, but I think I've got a good Kaleb Johnson take here. So Kaleb Johnson had the blunder. He made a mistake that nobody should ever make. If you've been playing football, if you know football, you should know that if you touch the football on a kickoff, it's a live ball, and the other team can go recover it in the end zone for a touchdown, and that's exactly what happened in week 2.
That's not what happened. He
What
didn't touch
happened?
the ball. It's a new kickoff rule. It's not an automatic touchback anymore.
I thought he touched it.
If it lands in the landing zone, it's still in the field of play. Is how I understood.
I swear he touched it. Oh, I mean, it might be. I thought he touched it.
That's how it's been described to me through recounts.
Okay.
Because he just kind of walked away from it.
Yeah. No, I know that happened, but I thought it grazed off of him and then it went into the end zone and then the other team recovered, but I could be wrong. But nevertheless, Kaleb Johnson is in the doghouse right now. And unfortunately for you who drafted him in Dynasty, I don't think it's going to get better this year. However, I do think that Kaleb Johnson is a pretty good football player. I think we saw that at Iowa because I remember leading up to Dynasty rookie season, watching just people steam this guy to the moon, showing clip after clip after clip, of tape, of all 22 tape of Kaleb Johnson. Just everybody, the defense knows this is the only thing Iowa has, and they still can't stop him. I think he's a very talented runner. My concerns about Kaleb Johnson were the pass pro and the more tidying up details of his game. And it looks like that the Steelers have a problem with the pass pro and some of the other tidying up of the details of his game. Still, the good news is the Steelers are going to be firing Arthur Smith this offseason because the Steelers stink and their defense stinks. So I don't think the Steelers are going anywhere this year. I don't think that, I don't think Jalen Warren's it. I certainly don't think Kenneth Gainwell's it. They drafted him in the 3rd round. You're going to have a nice long window to buy Kaleb Johnson, and there's no rush here. And that's definitely what I'm doing. I'm buying Kaleb Johnson. But I'm going to be buying him when the 2026 rookie class starts heating up and we kind of forget about Kaleb Johnson. Because and I'm just going to say this right now, I think that there's a world that exists where you can buy Kaleb Johnson for essentially a 3rd round rookie pick in 2026. Call me crazy, but I think that world exists. And if that world comes to fruition, I will be buying up all the Kaleb Johnson because I think that that's how you win long-term in Dynasty. But what do you think?
Yeah, the world does exist. I do think he gets time before then. I think they're going to hit a point where they have a record such that, hey, you guys spend a 3rd round or an early 3rd round pick on this guy, get him the hell on the field. Like there's going to be a time where even it might be ownership that says, if I see Kenny Gainwell out there one more time, instead of this 3rd round guy from Iowa that we had a lot of promise in, I'm going to lose my mind and someone's going to lose their job because you can't be a serious, like Arthur Smith isn't a serious person. We knew this and we shouldn't be surprised that, I'm not going to get too into the hand-fed everything in his life with his dad owning FedEx, but what a shocker that he acts like he has a safety net to fall on.
Smith fetish. That's
what a shocker that a guy like Arthur Smith of all people coaches like he has a safety net. Like, it doesn't matter to him if he gets fired because he's a freaking billionaire, or at least the son of one. So I'm buying Kaleb Johnson. Maybe not as heavily right now. I do agree that there's still going to be some time where I think his value is going to decrease a little bit, because I don't think that time where intervention happens is going to be within the next couple of weeks, but maybe in a 4 or 5. So I think there's a little bit of time there. I'm exploring buying, and all throughout the offseason, the more his value dips, I will be continuing to acquire. And then just to confirm, it did not touch him, but the rule is now once a free kick crosses 10 yards, it's a live ball. If it lands in the landing zone, which is the 20-yard line to the goal line, any team can recover it.
All right. Good to know. We did it. There we are back in the 2 box. We covered 15 players. Let us know if we missed anybody that we should have covered. Let us know what you think of our takes in the comments. Matt Babbage, do you have any final words of wisdom for the people before we leave tonight?
You can follow us on Twitter at FF Dynasty Table for the show, at Babbage_Matt10 for me. That is BABICH for the podcast listeners, and Seth_Diewold, DIEWOLD. Almost said that too fast and stumbled over myself. But you can follow us on the socials there, and stay tuned. Once I get invited to this Discord we have going on, it's going to be popping.
The link is in the description. You're in. Aren't you? Or no? Or this is how good I am at Discord.
I didn't realize the link is in the description. I didn't realize that I could just go. I probably should have thought about that while I was at work, but I said to myself I was going to hop in, and then I was like, oh, I need to get an invite from Seth. And then I made that joke, and you actually made me look really silly there. So shout out to you for that, because it's true. It's in the link in the description. Go check it out. That's what, you know what? No. That's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. That was all a setup so that you would tell the fine people watching this program that the link to the Discord is in the description. I'm totally already in it, have been for a very long time. But catch us there. Some more written work. You can hit us with your comments in the YouTube chat. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. That means a lot to us. Or you can take your questions over to the Discord and we'll help you out there.
Yeah, we will definitely engage with you. I spent this weekend answering a bunch of questions on both channels, my channel and the Dynasty Roundtable. So we will get to your question. Click the like button if you liked it. Subscribe. That helps us out. We're very close to 1,000 subs, which means we get there, we get monetized, and it means that Matt Babbage is going to have to just put a cap on his foul mouth. You know, he can't be just dropping the
I've been better. I've been thinking about it.
So anyway, help us out there. Let us know what you think of the program and the show. Give us ideas for future episodes. We'll entertain anything at this point. Well, not anything, you know, get your mind out of the gutter. Anything. I can already tell where that was headed. But thank you again for watching. Nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it kind of gives me joy to watch Aaron Rodgers play behind the Steelers offensive line.
We call that hate watch.
This is exactly how his career should end. 6-11, 5-12, just getting pummeled to death, and watching DK Metcalf drop passes. Oh, so good. Anyway, nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers. Thanks one more time. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. Follow us everywhere except on our way home. And until next time, be good, everybody, and we will see you later.